howdy, everybody. Welcome back to the Gumbo YaYa Radio Show one more time again with your host, Redneck. And I believe we have a phone call, so let's go to the phone. Hello, who that?
Hey, Redneck. Kim Carson. Where you at?
Miss Kim Carson, I'm here. Where are you at?
I'm in Costa Rica, but I am wrapping up a tour here, and I'm headed back to New Orleans in 5 days. I'm counting them down.
That's funny, Miss Carson. I know that you like your coffee, but Costa Rica, that's a little extreme, don't you think, when Cafe Du Monde's right down the block?
Yeah, you know what? I'm bringing back some coffee with me and get them back home to New Orleans.
All right, well, for folks that are just listening to us for the first time, this is the Gumbo YaYa Radio Show, and I have one of my all-time favorite artists on the phone, Miss Kim Carson, and I'm excited to have her. So let's do this, folks. Miss Carson, let's tell people who that, where you at. Tell them about yourself, where you're from. So if you don't mind.
Sure. Well, I'm a naturalized New Orleanian. I was born in southern Oklahoma. My family moved to Canyon, Texas, near Amarillo in the Panhandle when I was 5, and went to college in Denton, Texas, and then took off traveling. I played, it was in radio. I was a radio disc jockey. I worked in Dallas. I worked in Chicago. And I moved to New Orleans from Chicago. I've lived in New Orleans most of my life. That's my home. I'm not, I don't have any family in New Orleans. My family's still in California and Oklahoma, Arkansas. But that's where they're going to bury me, or as we would say, intern me above ground.
There you go. Yeah, it's hard to be from down that area and say I don't have any family, because down there, when you shake hands, you're friends. When you break bread, you're family. That's
true. That's true.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule, and ladies and gentlemen, just if this ain't as clear as you like, it's okay. Listen to it one more time. We're chatting with Miss Carson live from Costa Rica. And she's on tour down there. Like you said, you got 5 more days, and then you're headed back to the States. Is that right?
That's right. I'll be back in New Orleans for 5 days, and then off to South by Southwest. We're playing over there. I'll be 5 days in Texas, and get back to New Orleans in time for the French Quarter Festival. That's the world's largest free festival. It's free. There's stages all over the French Quarter. That's going to be early April. I think it's like the 7th, April 7th through the 10th
Are you
of
performing?
April. I am, actually, yeah. I'm going to be on Friday, April 8th. I'll be playing at the Tropical Isle Hand Grenade stage from 4 until 5:30. Because when I play on Bourbon, that's the only place I'll play on Bourbon Street. I'll play for Tropical Isle. There's 3 of them, and I play at all 3 of them. I rotate around. My band members also, when we're home, we'd rather be out playing music and meeting new people than sitting home watching TV. So my band members are always out playing also at Tropical Isle. We mix and match, play with a bunch of different musicians outside of the band, but you can always find some of it.
All right, so Miss Kim, let me do this. Let's go ahead and introduce your band members. Let's do that proper, like.
Okay. Well, I've got, the bands that I take to Europe, my European band members have been with me the longest, so let's talk about them first. I've got, on the contrabass, as they say, the upright bass, Ryan Donahue. He's played music with me for about 11 years, and he started out playing with me on dobro. With the White Trash Trio, and we play at the Cary Irish Pub and go out and doing shows for David Allen Coe, and then he moved over to bass. He's been with me the longest. He sings, plays bass, plays guitar. He's a tremendous musician. And then I've got on lead guitar, I've got Johnny Falstaff. I met Johnny when I was living over in Texas, after Katrina moved over to Houston, and Johnny Falstaff is a very well-known Texas songwriter, singer, guitar player. He's excellent, and he's been touring Europe with me. This will be the 10th year. So I've got Dwight Breland playing with me. Dwight's played with me for 23 years on pedal steel and lead guitar. On drums, I go back and forth on my drummers. Sometimes I've got Eric Griffith, who's done about 4 European tours. I've got Pete Braddock, who's done about 5 European tours. And they both live in New Orleans. They both play. So I snagged up either one of those fine drummers. And that's what's going on the drums.
Well, you got quite the cast, man. You got quite the lineup. And,
I do. You know, I've got assorted fiddle players that I use. There's a couple of them. I was using Thomas Jenkins, but then he took off to play with Sammy Kershaw, so I can't fault the man for that. But he's back playing drums, so Thomas will be back with me, I think, at Jazz Fest this year. I mean, on fiddle, on the fiddle. So yeah, there's so many good musicians. I'll tell you what, Redneck, there's so many good musicians in New Orleans that it's always a pleasure what they bring to your music. Each musician brings a little different flavor to your songs, and that's always enjoyable.
Well, I think that's one of the things about it is the flavor. You know, your first album was I think Dirty Halo back in '97, and
that's it. That's correct.
Right, and then so, I mean, you've got a few live albums from your days in Germany and Tipatina, and it's. You're kind of a renaissance woman of music here, because not everything is straight country that you do. What is it, Tonkabilly? Is that what we call it?
Tonkabilly. Yeah, we kind of mixed the honky-tonk music with that rockabilly, that real kind of, amped up, high-octane sound, and call it Tonkabilly.
That was.
But you're right. I've gone from when I started. I never played music until I moved to New Orleans, and the music is just everywhere. It's in every street corner, it's in every neighborhood, and I always loved music, but I never played or sang until I moved to New Orleans, and I started playing music, and the musicians I was playing with on my first couple of bands were country, but they didn't want to play my original songs, so I formed a band that did want to play my original songs. And it was from members with Cowboy Mouse, Jedi Dick, and the Swingin' Haymakers. And so all of a sudden I had kind of this rock pop influence into my music. And that was the basis for the early, for the Dirty Halo. And then by Tonkabilly, I was bringing fiddles and guitars back, and we were doing shows with Dash Rip Rock. And I had Kyle Malofsong on the drums that ended up playing with Dash. So we kind of moved that direction. I noticed your sound changes by the players who are playing it and what experience of theirs they bring into it. So, yeah, you can listen back to, 20 years worth of CDs and hear the subtle changes as the musicians have changed.
Well, and that's one of the things that I wanted to talk about is, you talk about 20 years of music. For a while there, 97, you were putting out, these CDs every year, too, and then you took a break for a while. You waited 3 years from between Classic Twang and Enough Heart Left to Break. Just a couple questions. Are you working on another album now? Or are you taking these breaks because you're touring? You got an Oklahoma girl who grew up in New Orleans and is touring Germany and Costa Rica. So that's quite a story. It's what is that the focus there? Fill me in here so our listeners know. Are we expecting a new album from Miss Carson? It's been 3 years, or let's just catch her live and she'll get to the studio when she's done roading?
Well, I spend, a lot of time writing. I like to take some time. I find it's a level where I am. I do a lot of booking myself and, the publicity and the promotions myself. And so that takes up a lot more time than I wish. I wish I had time just to write. I wish I had someone going, oh, this is where you're going to go. Just go play here. And I could spend all my time learning to play new instruments and writing new songs. But unfortunately, I spend many, many hours a day, literally 5-6 hours a day, trying to put together a tour such as the European tour and some of the tours here in the U.S. It cuts into my songwriting time. I do get some time to write, and I will schedule time to write. But I don't want to go into the studio unless I'm really happy with, what I have to present. Although CD sales are great in Europe, a lot of people don't buy physical CDs anymore. They download and whatnot. So, but yes, you can expect a new CD. It won't be this year. I'm thinking maybe in 2017 is when we'll get back in the studio.
All right. Well, you got to make us a promise that Gumbo YaYa will be amongst the first to have access to that new CD. You know.
I definitely will. I appreciate you playing, our music and, familiarizing, people who haven't heard of my music. I appreciate you giving them a listen, giving them a little sample.
Well, that's what this show is. This show is really dedicated to artists like yourself, who are mainstream without the big machine behind you. There's a lot of talented, amazing, incredible artists like yourself that are independent, are out there doing what you love and not getting the recognition that you deserve. And so we just kind of want to give a little bit of that back to you. Y'all give us so much through your music. We just want to go ahead and say thank you, Miss Carson, and to the other artists like you who give us that great music. So that's kind of what the whole idea behind our show. And you just make it difficult for me, though. I got to tell you, we had this conversation already. You make it difficult for me because when I put together a playlist, there's so many songs, Cajun Moon, Fly Away, Rock, Where's the Jukebox, what's that, I-10, the I-10 Westbound Blues. It's I just go on and on. All your drinking songs. I mean, this young lady, ladies and gentlemen, those of y'all that know Miss Carson know I ain't lying to you. And those one ain't met her, I can guarantee she's as pretty as a Bayou Sunset, this young lady. And she sings some of the best honky-tonkin' drinking songs you ever heard.
My aunt said that I sure write a lot of drinking songs for a Baptist girl from a dry county. We grew up in a dry county, and but I always loved the music of the honky-tonks, Ray Price, Gary Stewart, Buck Owens, Merle Haggard. That something about that music, I just love it. And that's the kind of music they listen to, I guess, where I grew up in Texas, and that's the kind of music I write. It speaks to my heart.
Well, it translates well. It's funny. There's a lot of people out there who, when they listen to music, they tend to be gender prejudiced. My Yankee Bride happens to be one of them. She says, she's not a big fan of female country singers. Among the female singers that she does like, it's Emmylou Harris and those and she'll listen to Kim Carson right after Emmylou, so that says a lot about your voice and your talent. You can sway.
Well, I think your Yankee Bride's got wonderful taste in music. Emmylou Harris is one of the all-time greatest female voices in any genre. She's absolutely one of the finest. So tell your beautiful bride thank you, and I appreciate being in good company on her playlist.
And this is one of the things I think that I love so much about you, Miss Carson, is you're gracious. You never hesitate to give credit where credit is due. Doing an interview about Miss Carson and the first opportunity you get to speak about someone else like Miss Emmylou Harris, I mean, you go right there, and I think that's why your peers love you as much as your fans do, and it shows. It shows with look at the people that are following you, the people that you're making music with. It's I think it's a testimony to who you are, not just as a person but as an artist.
Well, thank you very much. I've always felt like I was just I'm a fan of country music first. I'm just a country music fan that sings. When I was in radio, I never felt like a radio personality. I felt like a fan that somehow got past the receptionist. We would get back there and go, "Oh, this new song is great. You got to hear this. This one's great." So I've always just felt like a fan of country music, and that's what I appreciate. I feel blessed that I can do it, but I do feel blessed to be able to do what I do for a living and meet people such as yourself that also enjoy the same things I do. That makes it fun.
Well, you know what? Let's do this. Let's tell people where they can find your music, Reverb, Facebook, whatever. So let's give them your website, contact information, home phone number, whatever you're comfortable with.
Okay. www.kimcarson.com, and no fancy spellings, KIMCARSON, KimCarson.com. That's my website. You go to cdbaby.com and put my name in. Then I believe I've got 3 CDs, or 4. I've got 4 projects up there right now. I've got 3 CDs. I have the 2 latest ones. I've got Enough Heart Left to Break, which is original songs. I've got Classic Twang, which is just my tribute to the country songs that I loved growing up. And then I've got Buffalo Speedway. People have asked me for that. That was a unique CD that I cut living in Houston with my band there. It was called Buffalo Speedway. And we had another lead singer, Adam, that sang, and he's got 4 songs on there. And then we've got a project that's just called Don't Fear the Twang. And it's just a compilation of like 20 songs of mine, 20 songs I wrote. After I get home and get off this tour and, have a couple of minutes in the office, we'll have more CDs up on iTunes and CD Baby. Right now, it's kind of hard from the jungle and from the tour to be doing business,
What I'd like to do is play one of my first favorites off your first album, Cajun Moon. So would you mind giving that an introduction for us, and we'll play that for your fans, and we'll come back and chat some more?
Sure. I'll say this was one of the first songs I ever co-wrote. I co-wrote it with my buddy Van Hudson there in New Orleans, and you are listening to some classic Kim Carson in the Casualty. This is Cajun Moon on Gumbo YaYa.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Gumbo YaYa Radio Show. This is Redneck. We're chatting to Miss Kim Carson, and you just listened to one of my all-time favorites by Miss Carson, Cajun Moon, off of her debut album, Dirty Halo. Thank you so much, Miss Carson, for joining us.
Thank you, Redneck.
So I really like that tune. I guess you know why I'm partial, to that. But you know, I there's nothing better than just something that strikes a chord to you, and when you're listening to it, it brings back so many memories and just so many good vibes and feelings. And growing up down there, when I listen to that song, it evokes all that. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
You're quite welcome. I was glad you were there and to be able to listen. We had some great radio stations in New Orleans back in the day, and playing all kinds of different music. And I was really fortunate to be played on some of those fine radio stations.
Well, I grew up listening to Dave Nemo and Charlie Douglas on WWL, listening to the Road Gang, and back in the day. I remember all the commercials for Rosenbergs and Lawhorn and Levis and all that. So back in the day, 1825, Tulane. I don't know.
Tulane, yeah.
Yeah, so good times. So we played Cajun Moon off of your debut album, and we talked about some of the other stuff. Enough Heart Left to Break is your latest release. So let's go there. Let's talk about the music off of that album. Let's talk about the title cut and who wrote that. Is that a co-write? Is that your own original or?
Well, I wrote the chorus to Enough Heart Left to Break years ago, just recorded it in my phone. And so when I was going back to do that other CD, Enough Heart Left to Break, I was going through my phone and I heard this hook, and I knew I had a week before I had to get in the studio, and I was working on some other songs. So I called up my buddy, Larry Parcell. He's hands down my favorite co-writer. And he's in Houston, Texas. Larry Parcell with the Honky Tonk Heroes, and I told him, I said, hey, I got this song, and I've got the chorus, and it's kind of a maverick. I'm hearing like this maverick feel to it. So, you have any time to come help me write it? And Larry and I wrote I Only Like You When I'm Drinking. We wrote that one together. So he came over, and we sat out in the backyard, and I was in Houston and wrote it. It took us about an hour and a half, and then went to eat tacos. So it just came together really quick. We just traded lines. I remember a story about when Dwight Yoakam was writing with Roger Miller. It only hurts me when I cry. And he said he would write a line and then Roger would write a line. So that's how Larry and I wrote all the verses. We had the chorus, I had it done, and we went back and forth lines, and it was kind of a fun little experiment. Worked out. I'm really happy with the song. I think it worked out well.
All right, you mind if we go ahead and play that for the listeners?
Yeah, let's go ahead and play it. Enough Heart Left to Break. Kim Carson on Gumbo YaYa Radio Show with Redneck.
All right, you ready?
Uh-huh.
I didn't know I had enough heart left to break. I thought I had more hurt than one poor heart can take. Well, I thought I'd love you just a little, but that was my mistake, and I didn't know I had enough heart left to break. Well, my heart's been torn up, it's beaten and bruised. It's been battered and tattered, shattered right in two. I know love's a gamble, it's a roll of the dice, but it's not so bad to lose if you don't pay the price. I didn't know I had enough heart left to break. I thought I'd had more hurt than one poor heart can take. Well, I thought I'd love you just a little, but that was my mistake, and I didn't know I had enough heart left to break.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was enough Heart Left to Break by Miss Kim Carson. We have her on the phone here. Thank you again one more time for joining us, Miss Carson. And we're having a good time. We're basically reminiscing about the good old days back home and enjoying some great music. So thank you again.
Sure. Thank you. My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
We're playing a few cuts off your latest album, but I want to backtrack, if you don't mind, a little bit.
Sure.
We talked about your drinking songs. And you did mention I Only Like You When I'm Drinking, and that's off of your Looking Back album. I love this whole album. How much of this is 100% Kim Carson, and how much of this is co-writes or like Hank's song? And there's just so many good songs on this album.
On the Looking Back CD is it's either everything. It's either songs that I wrote or co-wrote. Yeah, and I just wanted a little, kind of an audio snapshot. Looking back, I took songs from Dirty Halo, Tonkabilly, Calle de Orleans, Live at Tipitina's Buffalo Speedway, and then I added those 3 new songs, like I Only Like You When I'm Drinking. And I'll take that back. I only had to walk in and get the CD, because on Dirty Halo, when I was recording that in mid-90s, I wasn't doing a whole lot of songwriting back then, so I do have songs on there that were written by, either my bandmate, Van Hudson. One was written by my boyfriend at the time, John Thomas Griffith from Cowboy Mouth. He wrote Out on My Way Back to You in my living room, and then Paul Sanchez from Cowboy Mouth wrote another verse to it, and they recorded it later. So I always say mine is the original and unfinished version of Out on My Way Back to You. And then the other one that's on there is called Fly Away, and that was written by my sister's boyfriend at the time, a guy named Jimmy Stafford, and he's lead guitar player in a band called Train. And after they got successful, I quit singing their songs. They don't need any more help. I'll just start doing my own. I wrote 13, and then the last, the 3 early ones I did not write.
It's such a good album to have in your collection, in your repertoire, because it has so much of your music from so many of your other albums too. So I think that's probably, it's almost like a greatest hits to a degree.
It's very different. This CD is kind of a smorgasbord. You can tell the more you get into it. I started with the later stuff and then went early, and so you can tell my voice has changed, the techniques changed, quality's changed. The music's changed. It's gone more and more country and more honky tonk as I've gotten on with my career.
For me, that's what I like, that honky tonk sound.
Well, I'm with you. I like the honky tonk stuff too. That's always been my heart. In the early days when I put together the band, I was just a member of the band. It was Kim Carson and the Casualties, but it was still, we were a band, and everybody got a say on what happened, and everybody brought in, we had a Cajun drummer, we had a jazz, Paul Guidry was on drums, Doug Lagisbeck was in the Casualties. He was had a performance degree in jazz from Loyola, so he was the bass player. We had Corey Ray on guitar, he loved Eddie Van Halen and Stevie Ray Vaughan, so we had this blues rock guitar player. We had and then Teresa Anderson, on the violin, and she had just come from playing with Andrews Osborne, and she brought, very rootsy, kind of soulful style into the band. And so, and then you had someone singing, with a Loretta Lynn kind of background. So it was a real gumbo of a mix musically, this band. And the music in the early days with the Casualties was not country. A lot of people still to this day tell me Dirty Halo was their absolute favorite, CD that I've done. A lot more people, with your background in mind that love country music, they like the newer stuff. Of course, they like Enough Heart Left to Break. But, what I had hundreds of copies of the early titles that were completely destroyed, in Hurricane Katrina. And you mentioned, that I was putting out an album like every couple of years, but, since the hurricane, a lot of us have kind of recovered somewhat, but, you can't fully go back and replace your home and everything you own, and, you have to prioritize. And now moving forward, I got to do something new now. And so that's, another good thing that's great about CD Baby and iTunes. I've managed to scrounge up like at least one copy of Dirty Halo and Tonk and, Orleans, some of the early Tipitinas that I could put up digitally. So you don't really get all the artwork. I wish that's something that they would do or could do, and maybe they have. But you could also like download the artwork, on some of these music sites, because I like to go in and buy music from my favorite singers, and it's not the same, holding that, that Merle Haggard record, where you can see who wrote the songs and who plays on it. And so I do wish there was a place to put up artwork. And
yeah, I'm that way too. I'm kind of like the liner notes guy. I'll open it up, reading there, and who's singing this and who's singing that. You hear a guitar and you go, oh, I recognize that guitar. Turns out it's Robin Ford.
Yeah.
Or who's that singing background? Oh wait, that's Delbert McClinton singing background here with that. So it's I'm that way about music like that, and that's what makes it so hard when it comes to your music, is because there is it's such a broad spectrum. There's so much to play. We talked about those songs on there. I know, drinking. I like you when I'm drinking. Like Hank's song. Hank's song's another one. That song is it's so many people have done an homage to Hank. So many have done that, but the way you do it, I think, kind of sets it off on its own, a little bit different from all these other, I guess, pop country tributes that are out now. Everybody's talking about Hank. Everybody either talks Hank or Waylon, but you do it. I guess maybe it's because it's from a woman's perspective. I don't know, but I really like the way you do that.
Well, thank you. That song, and actually, when I wrote it, I didn't mean to write it as a, paying tribute to Hank. I was actually just talking about, it was written from an honest place. When I'm sad, I like to listen to Hank's music. I always say nobody was sadder than Hank. Nobody was sadder than Hank, and when he sang about Lonesome Blues, and so now when you're feeling bad, you put on something like that, you know you're not alone. Somebody else felt this way. So I didn't write it so much as a tribute to Hank as just that, that's what I like to do when I'm feeling down.
Well, maybe that's the quality about it that I like so much that sets it apart. I tell you what, though, how about we just let the listeners be the judge of that?
Oh, sure. All right. Well, this is Kim Carson and Hank's songs on the Gumbo YaYa Radio Show.
All right, thank you, Miss Carson, and y'all give this a listen. We'll be right back.
Got the lonesome blues. Got the lonesome blues. Well, I've been listening to Hank's songs since I lost you. And now I hear him moaning. That's the sound of my tears. Well, I've been listening to Hank's songs, drinking whiskey and beer. You had another, and I know that it's true. 'Cause last night at the honky tonk, well, I saw her kissing you. I got the lonesome blues. I got the lonesome blues. Well, I've been listening to Hank's songs since I lost you. And I hear him moan. Whiskey and beer. whiskey and beer.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Hank's Song by Miss Kim Carson. And Miss Kim, thank you again for being with us and sharing your music. What I want to do real quick is just let everybody know one more time where they can, about your website, where they can find your music and go back there and get it.
Oh, sure. You can go to www.kimcarson.com. You can find my music on cdbaby.com and also on iTunes.
Thank you, Kim. And so we already have some of your music, and I want to get into a few more songs before we let you go. Do you have the time?
Oh, sure.
One of the songs on your Enough Heart Left to Break is Out of California.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that song. Let's chat about that a little bit, if you don't mind.
Well, sure. That song was in a time in my life where I was dating a wonderful man, but he lived in California, and he's a surfer and owns a surf shop, and so it would have been easier for me to go to California than for him to come to New Orleans. As you know, there's no surf in Louisiana unless there's a hurricane coming. So I was, kind of torn with moving out there and starting over, kind of leave the life I had in New Orleans. New Orleans is a hard place to leave. And I guess I didn't make that decision quite fast enough, and I was writing, about, did I mess up? Did I not mess up? And this, I love the musicians actually on this song too. Bobby Flores just tears me up. That's Bobby on the fiddle. This is Out in California. It's from Enough Heart Left to Break CD on the Gumbo YaYa Radio Show. Thanks, Redneck.
I should be out in California right now, that's where I ought to be. I should be out in California right now, not this bar in New Orleans. Well, I want to go, I love him so much more than it seems. I should be out in California right now, I should be that man's wife. But I moved him aside with this guitar, and it's not a half-bad life. Oh, either way I win, either way I lose. I gotta give up something good no matter what I choose. I should be out in California right now. I should be out in California right now, that's where I ought to be. I should be out in California right now, that's where I ought to be. If I'm gonna find a true love, this would be the one to last. But I can't ride two horses with just one ass. I should be out in California right now. Yeah. California right now and give up this life I know. I gotta leave my home and friends behind. I'm just trying to find the money to go. Well, I didn't find it fast enough. Now he won't take my call. I guess he found him someone else. He didn't love me after all. I should be out in California right now. No. I should be out in California right now, that's where I ought to be. I should be out in California right now, that's where I ought to be. Yeah. I think about him night and day, but I bet you he don't ever think of me. Let's go, boys!
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was out in California, Miss Kim Carson. She's on the phone with us, and we're chatting with her. She's calling us all the way from Costa Rica. We've taken up so much of your time. We love your music. We can't wait for you to get back here to the States where folks can go see you live. I know that they can find all that information on your website, but since we have you on the phone, let's go ahead and tell folks your plans for when you get back to the States, where you're going to be playing, what you're going to be doing.
Well, I'll get back on March 10th, and then I'm headed to South by Southwest. I'll be at South by Southwest on March 16th through the 19th, and you can check our schedule then. And then if you're coming to New Orleans, do come and see us. I'll be, of course, at the Cary Irish Pub on most Mondays. The French Quarter Festival on Friday, April 8th. That's a wonderful festival. And then that evening, I will be at the Ugly Dog Saloon, Friday night, April 8th. It's right near the quarter. You can just walk over there right after French Quarter Fest. I'll be at the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival this year, and that's going to be on Saturday, April 30th. Come check us out at Jazz Fest. I like to drag out the big band on the Jazz Fest, get my trumpets in there. And then, I'll be hanging around the Gulf Coast, Florida. I always say I have an itinerary. I'll be up and down Interstate 10 from the Florida-Bama to Luckenbach, and then we take off to Europe. It'll be our 21st European tour coming up in June, mid-June to mid-September, and I'll have all dates at kimcarson.com.
Yeah, that's June 24th through September 20th of 2016, and already you have shows that they're confirmed for Germany, Switzerland, France, Holland, Norway, Austria, and more dates to come, right?
That's correct. We're filling in more and more dates each day.
It's funny that the European fan base is gravitated so much toward classic country music, or country music in general. We had Jamie Gardner from High South on the program, and for years they've been doing the European thing. He just decided to take a break from that, and they're going to be doing more here in the States, but they're, as far as Switzerland and Germany and Austria, they're in huge demand over there.
There is the Europeans, they have a real appreciation for really authentic sounding country music. When they're not so much like the Nashville kind of what's on the radio. They don't perceive that as being country at all. So they do like our music and our Jamie's music. Just authentic. They just got that's their style.
Well, we're gonna miss you while you're over there. So, folks, y'all make sure that before Miss Carson leaves for the European tour in June, that you get out there and see her. And speaking of missing you, that's one of my favorite songs off of your Enough Heart Left to Break. So, how about we play that for folks?
Oh, sure. Well, thank you so much for having me, Redneck. I really enjoy it. Enjoy your program, and, get a holler when you come back home. Don't be a stranger.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have Miss Kim Carson on the phone. We're going to let her go here shortly, but before we do, we want to play Missing You by Miss Kim Carson off her latest release, Enough Heart Left to Break. Y'all give this a listen. We'll come back, and we'll say goodbye to Miss Carson.
Well, it's all right, it's okay. I know that I'm not always gonna feel this way, but for now, I have to say, I'm missing you. I'm missing you every time I see the ocean. I'm missing you when I come home at night. I'm missing you, but I kinda have a notion one day soon it'll be alright, and I won't be missing you. When I met you, I thought I'd found my partner. You were my hero. There was nothing you couldn't do. But time on the road made it so much harder to stay in your heart so you could be true. And I'm missing you. I'm missing you Every time I see the ocean, I'm missing you. When I come home at night, I'm missing you. But I kinda have a notion one day soon it'll be alright, and I won't be missing you. I can't give you all my love and share you with another, or cry over losing something I never owned. If I'd known a storm was coming, I would have run for cover. Now I'm stranded in the middle. I won't go back, but I can't move on, and I'm missing you. I'm missing you. Every time I see the ocean, I'm missing you. When I come home at night, I'm missing you. But I kinda have a notion one day soon it'll be alright, and I won't be missing you. But I'm alright, it's okay. I know that I'm not always gonna feel this way, but for now, I have to say, I'm missing you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Gumbo YaYa Radio Show. That was Missing You by Miss Kim Carson. And we have Miss Carson on the phone. Thank you so much for spending all this time with us, Kim.
Thank you, Redneck. Thanks for having me on your program.
Well, we're going to let you go. Before we do, will you give us a Gumbo YaYa?
Yeah, this is Kim Carson from New Orleans, Louisiana, and you are listening to Gumbo YaYa Radio Show.
Thank you so much, Miss Carson. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Gumbo YaYa Radio Show. Remember, hug your friends, kiss your family, thank the Lord. Y'all keep listening to the Gumbo YaYa Radio Show. Now, you hear?